Hello, Ada here. Thank you for joining me again for the Bible review, this time covering Genesis 3. Genesis 3 is often called the Fall, and for good reason. It marks the first mistakes made by humans, the first signs of blaming others, manipulation, and living in shame. It all begins with the serpent, asking Eve whether God really told her not to eat from any tree in the garden. This was the first recorded moment of asking a question that's half true. Eve replied that she could eat from any tree in the garden, except for the one in the middle. That was the first time a human fell into a trap. The serpent continued, twisting the truth further. He told her she would certainly not die, and gave her false promises, saying her eyes would be opened and that she would be like God, knowing both good and evil. Eve took a bite. The fruit was pleasing to the eye, and she desired the wisdom it promised. This reminds me a bit of people selling books and courses on how to become rich. Strangely, many of these people have never actually run a successful business, yet they sell the false hope that you'll certainly become rich if you buy their course or book. I even know a man whose wife wanted to divorce him. She had joined a company widely known for its pyramid scheme. After 6 years, she still hadn't generated any income from her sales. Yet she was convinced her husband was holding her back. She blamed him for not helping enough around the house. Even though he was working 2 jobs to fund their dream of moving to Portugal, she couldn't see the truth, preferring to believe a beautiful lie. And now, she, her ex-husband, and their children are all suffering because of her lack of responsibility. Now back to Eve. Of course, she wanted Adam to take a bite as well, which feels a bit like manipulating your partner into doing something they know is wrong. Sadly, Adam gave in and took a bite too. Then, their eyes were opened. Suddenly, they realized they were naked and began to make outfits from fig leaves, the first sign of fashion. I decided to give it a try myself, but it didn't go so well. Anyway, when Adam and Eve heard God approaching, they decided to hide. Yet God called out to them, asking where they were. Adam admitted that he was hiding from God because he was afraid of being naked. God asked who told him he was naked and whether he had eaten from the tree God had commanded him not to eat from. God sounded disappointed and hurt. Adam revealed that Eve had given him the fruit from the tree. That's why he ate it. When God asked Eve what she had done, she simply replied that the serpent deceived her and that she ate. These are signs of weakness, blaming someone else for something you did yourself. I remember when I was a teen, I said, "I will never smoke or take drugs." But people replied, "Wait until you're asked." You know what? Even when people asked me, I refused and ended up never smoking or taking drugs. Yet many people sadly fail, even blaming others for why they started. I've seen some teens say you're not cool if you don't smoke. Many end up smoking or vaping, damaging their health because they think they're not cool otherwise. But most of the time, those teens aren't tough at all. They just smoke. God wasn't amused. He cursed the serpent, making it crawl on its belly and eat dust for the rest of its life. He created enmity between the serpent and the woman, and between their offspring. They would crush its head and he would strike at their heels. The woman was told that her childbearing would be painful, with severe labor pains when she gave birth to children, and that her desire would be for her husband, and that he would rule over her. To Adam, God said the ground would be cursed because of him, because he listened to his wife. Through painful toil, he would eat food from it every day of his life. The ground would produce thorns and thistles, and he would eat plants of the field, until the day he returns to the ground, for he came from dust, and to dust he would return. Adam named his wife Eve, because she would become the mother of all the living. Some people argue why God allows people to suffer, using it as an argument against the existence of God. They also say it's unfair that the rest of mankind had to suffer because of 2 humans. But if we're honest for a minute, many of us do the same every day. blaming others for our mistakes and not saying no when we have the chance. It happens all the time. Eventually, the Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. This reminds me of how humans today talk about modesty. Showing too much skin is often considered scandalous. I recently saw a Christian woman on YouTube, Taylor Alesia, who lodged gym attire designed for Christian women. Yet, she was criticized by some Christians who said the shorts were too short. I saw so many comments starting with, "As a Christian," and all this while God himself intended for humans to be naked. Of course, it's hard for us to imagine running around naked nowadays, especially given how we feel about it. But imagine how much better the environment might be if we didn't produce clothing at all. Before I continue, I want to congratulate Taylor Alesia on her pregnancy. Congrats, sister. I'm so happy for you. For everyone watching, I'll be sure to share a link to her channel. She's an awesome YouTuber with great storytelling skills. I highly recommend you check her out. God made sure that Adam could no longer take fruit from the garden by placing cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. In doing so, God ensured his word would remain true, that Adam would certainly die, and banished him from the Garden of Eden. This is the... Huh, what the...